Hello and welcome to the Cash News Podcast, your go-to source for informative conversations about all things cash and currency. From cash security and payments technology to the cash supply chain, we're here to share insights on the issues shaping the world of cash today. Join your hosts, Tom Meehan, Sean Ferrari, and Brad Moody, as they dive into the latest trends, strategies, and technology. This is the Cash News Podcast. Now, here's Tom, Sean, and Brad.
Cash News Podcast. I'm honored and privileged to have Mark Lowers, a dear friend, mentor, and a former boss of mine for many years, who I was fortunate enough to work with, and he taught me the ropes. And again, as that praise, welcome Mark Lowers to the podcast. Mark, if you can, just give your quick explanation about who you are and what you do and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. Well, thank you, Brad, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on your cash broadcast, something that I've not done before. So always a first time for everything. Anyway, I'm Mark Lowers. I'm the CEO of Lowers Risk Group. Lowers Risk Group is a holding company for several operating entities underneath it. Lowers and Associates, which is our risk management consulting and compliance entity, very focused in the insurance ecosystem around doing surveys and assessments, cash audits for the CIT industry and ATM industry. We do a lot of different things besides CIT and bank audits, but we're very involved in the mining and precious metals, pawnbroking, check cashing, firearms industry. So a lot of different what we call high-risk sort of ventures that are highly regulated, and that's an area that we tend to play in that space. We are also have an operating company called AdjustTech, which is an adjusting firm that does insurance claims work, from big power losses in energy to big machinery to property damage, liability claims, specie claims. We do that around the globe. We also have a forensic accounting practice that does forensic accounting work that is focused on business interruption claims, litigation support, those sort of things. So that's sort of the background, of the general operating background of Lowers Risk Group. I'm the president of the SCTA, the Secure Cash and Transport Association. I'm also an active member in the Payment Choice Coalition, which grew out of the SCTA.
That's great. And how long have you guys been in operations now?
Well, a long time. So actually goes back to the 80s, so 1986, to be honest. So feel like I've been at it a long time, and I'm growing into be an old man.
I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that Mark brings to the table industry-leading expert knowledge about what happens in the industry, and I could say there's no one that knows more. I could only, he forgets more than I'll ever learn. So we're again privileged to have you as part of the podcast. And one thing I kind of feel passionately about is the SCTA, as you mentioned. If you can, just talk about the general outlook about the SCTA, the values that it brings, and the target audience. And I've been privileged to be a part of it for the past since its inception. This is the 11th or 12th year, I think. 13th year.
Yeah.
Wow, time flies. So if you can find just give us an outline about what it's for and what people could learn from it.
Sure. So the SCTA really was formed out of a coalition of people that form the ecosystem, if you like, around cash in transit. So it didn't start out just as a cash in transit or an armored car association. It was all the ancillary services, customers of those services that drove the development of the Secure Cash and Transport Association. We try to bring everybody together so that they can have conversations and learn from one another at the beginning, it was started because I would be working on one issue with a customer or a client or an insured or an insurer, and the next day I get a call from a retailer who was talking about the same issue and asking for my help along those same lines. I thought, it'd really be great if we could find a forum or a venue where we could get everybody together and talk about the issues and the challenges that they might face, and what new technology might be coming along, and what's happening in the Fed, what's happening in the Mint, what and have good conversation around them and be educational and informed, be focused on security and risk, because every one of those people in that ecosystem is challenged with some of the same risks. And so it grew from that. And the idea was to drive a better organization, a better industry, a better ecosystem, because we are together, we're informed, we're talking about things like best practices. We're talking about things like our voice in the cash industry. There has been very little focus by the cash and transit industry specific to them, and the broad support that they bring to a critical infrastructure around the globe, whether it's in the US or anywhere else. And that voice wasn't being heard. And so we started talking about that at the SCTA. And so that's the genesis of it, Brad. And you've been there from the beginning and you've watched it grow. We have a great conference coming up in October. A very good lineup of speakers. Focuses, cash in motion, and we're kind of highlighting the navigation of change and what's coming down the pike, and so I think it'll be a good conference. We've got the Federal Reserve going to be there, folks from the Mint, folks from various industries, talking about very timely, important topics for all.
I tell you, just my feedback from how I've seen it grow and mature is that the audience are really decision makers and influencers within the industry, right? So when you have, you've got the people, not only armored carrier, but you've got the right people from the insurance industry, you've got the right people from the vendors, from the banks, you have the people in the same room. So when you have those opportunities to collaborate, to go face to face, to share your stories, I just noticed that it's it gets things done quickly. It's very effective. It's concise. I think that it starts the evening of October 1st this year and ends at midday on that Friday. It's the right amount of time, and from what I've been able to experience, it's not the typical conference where you go in and there's a huge exhibitor hall full of 50 exhibitors, and then there's breakout sessions. As you said, the speakers are very distinct. The keynote speakers are inspirational, motivational, but they actually, what they talk about and what's relevant is things that we experience, that everyone experiences. Yeah. So I think that's very smart in that regard. It's not somebody come over there and just hammer over and publicize the book that they wrote. It's actually really how to achieve the goals that you want and need. And from being on both sides, it's great to just connect with people you don't see all the time, and in a large audience. And it doesn't turn into speed dating like normal conferences. You actually can sit around a table and have a conversation and go to dinner. It's in a great city. It's in Chicago, one of my favorite cities in the world. So there's things to do, and it really is an attractive conference, and I appreciate it. So it's been great to be a part of it. And as I continue my expansion within that part, I just want to say thank you for that. And I look forward to contributing throughout the future.
You're welcome. I mean, you guys have recently joined the board. So it's great to have you at that level and working with us together, you and Tom. So I think, we appreciate your support and appreciate, your insight, because you guys are broader than just CIT. You're into a lot of different industries, and it's helpful. And so, that's what we need within the SCTA.
That's perfect. Well, good. Thank you for that. Again, it's October 1st to October 3rd.
It is.
What's the official website? Is it SCTA or SE?
It's the securecashtransportation.org.
Okay, we will definitely make sure that's listed correctly.
Yep, yep. And you can register for the conference right on the website. I would encourage people to do it sooner rather than later. We've got, we're way ahead of last year in terms of registrations, which is nice to see. To your point, the city of Chicago's an awesome city. It's a great time of year to be there. It's at the Swiss Hotel, which is just a great location. Venue is awesome. Speakers will be engaging, and we have SBV coming this year from South Africa, and they'll be talking about their experiences in probably one of the toughest environments to not only conduct CIT operations, but banking and ATM operations as well, and just the general challenges that they see in a very tough environment. So
I tell you, being involved in that stuff in the past and just seeing the raw video and the violence and care, lack of quality, thinking about people's lives, and wow, there's a lot to learn. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's going to be a great thing.
Yeah, it really is. So, we'll also be talking about the Payment Choice Coalition.
Yep.
Will be presenting in a forum, as will the Fed and their cash service offices. Will be presenting. The Payment Choice Coalition should be highlighting at that point some of their findings from the cash survey that they had Siena College do, which is unique. It's the first time this industry has done something like that. So I think it'll be a very interesting time to be in Chicago. A lot of good information should be shared, and I hope people come and get engaged and really see the SCTA for what it does.
So could you, for those that don't know, just, and I'm involved in that, the Payment Choice Coalition as well, but if you could just kind of explain, everybody the elevator speech of what it is and what it's intended to do and the benefit from it.
Well, from at its simplest form, it's really was formed in the initiative of raising awareness around the importance of cash and, as a payment option, but also promoting the Payment Choice Act. And that Payment Choice Act has been out there for a number of years. It's been supported by ATMI and NAC and a number of folks, and all good organizations behind it. And I think as I said earlier, there has been this lack of a voice around the cash and transit industry because I don't think people understand it's part of a critical infrastructure that actually moves our currency, U.S. currency, around the globe, not just the U.S., but around the globe. Right. And so I think as an overarching theme of the Payment Choice Act or the Payment Choice Coalition, it was to educate folks on just that so that this voice is being heard. And, a lot of fine companies involved with this, Payment Choice Coalition, Control Tech, as ourselves, but, Fifth Third Bank, Brinks, Loomis, we've got G&D, Diebold Nixdorf, NCR, Western Union. So, companies that have a voice and have something to say about what cash is and the importance of cash in society. And, as a payment option, we're not saying cash is be all end all, but you can't our view is it can't be replaced, and it shouldn't be replaced, because you've got a lot of people in this country, and indeed the world, that budget by cash, handle and work through cash and no other means. And so it's just incredibly important. So
Yeah. I'll tell you the one event that you and I attended, it was really great to be in the nation's capital, of which we live, right? And have actual legislation join us, right, for a conversation and taking on advice of how to get this ratified and going through the Congress to get it approved. Because, from an American, standpoint, being an American, it really does hold value to be able to have the choice of using cash or not. And I just finished the book, The Power of Cash.
by Professor Zagorski.
That was it's one of those deals. I think, everybody should read it that are nerds like us, but at the same time, it really does show you the relevance, the importance of it, and the studies that he's done as a professor, to be able to look at this and attract it as a matter of people, right? And how we use it, why we use it, and talk about how, the influence from the, American Express, MasterCard, Visa, right? It's in their best interest, to get rid of cash because of the transaction fees and how that affects the small business. So when you look at it from the top down approach, it really does demystify, right? And I would just encourage all those to read the book. It's on Audible. It's great listening material in the background. Not for everybody, obviously, but it's very, very enlightening.
Well, I hope not to be a spoiler, but that book will be made available to all our attendees.
No, that's perfect.
So I think, we felt it was that important. I had the privilege of seeing him speak at ESTA. I was over in Europe, in Brussels, and Professor Zagorski was there. He spoke, and just very well done. I just think the book is great. I think there's a couple of things that he says in the book that I think are very important. I think one, he says, you don't want to lose your muscle memory, right?
Yeah, right.
You should at least 2 or 3 times a week take some cash out of your wallet and transact with it.
Right.
Because, whether it's a cup of coffee at McDonald's or Starbucks or wherever, but he said, because what happens is you forget how to use it. And that's not a good place to be, because as you know, we have a dire need for cash in emergencies, right? So whether, I live in Florida, 7 months out of the year, and, the hurricanes cause all kinds of issues that networks go down, electricity goes out, you have to largely be able to transact in cash during those times. And so
I thought a couple of things. He did a great job about referencing how people don't think of this as a national security issue, which like, oh great, we're not doomsday preppers, but we want to be aware that should the grid go down because of something happening, it's not an easy flip the switch, turns back on. Everything reverts to cash. So it was to make it very relevant. Everyone loves to talk about hurricanes. Hurricanes are predictable, gives you a chance to leave. Somebody, putting on an EMP and blowing out the grid, no choice,
exactly
right?
Exactly.
And then, I thought another thing that he spoke about, which I thought, and I find myself guilty like everybody else buying things on Amazon, is, these things are very well done to where it influences you to buy more. And without spending cash, you spend more on the card. People will actually buy more because they know, hey, I'll pay for it later. And what does that do to college students, people fresh out of school, people trying to buy their first home, and they realize they have accumulated an amazing amount of debt where they had the opportunity to use cash and enforce no debt. So I thought that was, again, a huge part of what I took away.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, you think about colleges, they don't want you to transact in cash on their campuses.
Yeah.
Right. They just don't. They want you to use money on a card credit card or whatever it happens to be. So, we're not teaching young people about cash either. That's the other component of this Payment Choice Coalition, is this whole education that needs to go on and understand why it's important, how it works, how we service it. And clearly cash is alive and well and right now. I think, we see it doing better.
Yeah.
We see more cash out there right now. We see more ATM deployments and utilization of cash at those terminals. So I think that's helpful, and
Right.
it helps with the narrative.
Right. And I tell you again, we're promoting the book where we don't need to, because everybody's going to, read it
No,
from
that's
there
right.
and tell everybody. But it's important it also that, people say it's better for the economy. Well, you look at areas like Tokyo that are cash intensive, it's actually bolstered the economy, right? Because people, so it's again, it's got some good influences there. So I'm thrilled to hear about the book, and I'm sure everybody will take it away and pass it on. That's for sure. It's what's intended for. So
That's exactly right.
all right.
Exactly.
Well, Mark, anything else you want to talk about, or anything else that you need to lay out there that people should be aware of?
No, look, we live in an interesting time from a security perspective, and in this world that we live in, and that you worked in with me,
Yeah.
where we're talking and working around high risk ventures. Situational awareness is key, and I just would encourage everybody to keep their guard up and, think about the whole situational awareness aspect in everyday life.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
I do it with my kids and my family, my grandkids all the time. So
you and I both have done some crazy things to help support it. So that's a gift that we should definitely pass on. So that's very good insight.
it is.
Well,
But
Mark,
thank you, Brad, for having me. Appreciate it. Look forward to doing this again at some point. Look forward to seeing you in Chicago in a few months.
it's absolutely. I think I'll
Thank
see you in
for
September
thank
before
you for
that.
all you guys do. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, hey, I do appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Cash News Podcast. We hope you found this episode insightful. Don't forget to like and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter, and be sure to visit us at thecashnews.com to stay up to date with the latest on the world of cash. Thanks again for listening to the Cash News Podcast.